OK, let's turn our attentions to the big story that you broke actually this week, didn't you, about Fenway Sports Group. Looking for new investment. Why?
Yeah, it's pretty well known in the industry that Liverpool have been seeking potential buyers, investors for quite some time. Last year they sold 11% of FSG as a whole company to Redbird Capital Partners. And it came to me over the weekend, and then we managed to corroborate it and source it properly on Monday, that FSG have put Liverpool up for sale. And while we don't know how it will end, maybe nothing, maybe a partial sale or maybe a full sale, they are now open to selling the full club for the first time. And that's a seismic development from Liverpool's point of view. They've enjoyed a very successful reign, despite what some people may feel about their ownership. There's a range of opinions, but the titles speak for themselves. They've won pretty much everything. A full sales prospective has been produced for interested parties. I'm sure there are many. There are reports in the British press this morning that Mukesh Ambani, the Indian billionaire worth a reported £90 billion from his various business interests, the 8th richest man in the world, has already made an inquiry, and a number of others are said to have come in from Dubai and the United States and elsewhere. So I don't think they'll be short of interest. They have contracted the banks, Morgan Stanley and I've forgotten the other... Goldman Sachs as well, to advise them and help them through this process. Now, is it just exploratory? Is it that it's going to bring about a full sale? I don't think it's going to be imminent. And when I reported that, some people sort of said, oh, so you're rowing back on the story. Absolutely not. Liverpool are for sale, and let's see what they decide to do, FSG, because they'll want to sell to what they believe are the right custodians to take the club forward.
Well, it's interesting you say that because, you know, Jurgen Klopp has got a very high moral compass. You know, we've witnessed that in several of his press conferences, not least the last one, in terms of what he felt about the situation in Qatar and why, you know, us as journalists didn't ask questions way back when it was suggested that the World Cup would be there in 2012. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. They've got to tread very carefully, haven't they? Because it needs to go along with Jurgen Klopp as well. Otherwise, they could stand to lose him. This is important.
He's just signed a new long-term contract, and from what we hear, he's been reassured by the ownership that, you know, they're not going to do this rapidly. They're going to do it, if it happens, to the right people. And therefore, I think they would have that moral compass as well. FSG, I don't think they'll want to pass Liverpool into hands that they're not happy with. And you're already hearing rumours from within the industry that they have rejected approaches, or they're not keen to go forward with expressions of interest from parties that they perhaps do not feel are the right route. And by that, many people would assume a nation state, because we've seen what's happened in Manchester City, Newcastle United, PSG, and the sort of level of investment it takes to compete at that level. Almost Jurgen Klopp has hinted that in their existing model, which is self-sustaining at Liverpool, they're not able to do that. And so it really will be an interesting thing for Klopp. But I think FSG themselves will be conscious of the same matters. And it is going to take somebody with extremely deep pockets if it's going to be a full takeover, because we're hearing reports of £4 billion is what they would expect, which would, you know, take them to around or above the levels that Chelsea went to. But you're seeing the signs already that things are starting to change at Anfield, because Mike Gordon, who has been in charge of sort of operations from a day-to-day perspective. We reported, it was also in the Boston Globe, which is owned by John Henry himself, that Gordon is going to be taking a step back, and Billy Hogan, the chief executive, is going to be taking on greater responsibility. It's being described as a natural evolution, but sources have told me that Mike Gordon will be working on the potential sale and focusing on that. So this is a real situation, and it's something that we'll just have to see how it develops, because I don't have the answers to how it will end, but we know what stage we're at now.